6 years ago, 2017, marked the release of Pavlov VR, and with its recent launch on the PSVR2, is this game still worth playing in 2023? Let's find out. But first, Pavlov VR is a multiplayer shooter in virtual reality, and while many describe it as the Counter-Strike in VR, it offers so much more than that. However, I must say that on the PCVR version, I spent most of my time in the shooting range. I love that all weapons are free to try out without having to unlock any, and there are quite a few. The details on the weapons are excellent, and it's clear that attention has been paid to the fidelity to make these weapons look as realistic as possible. Not only that, every gun comes with its own unique reloading mechanics, and this is why we play VR, right? Instead of pressing R on your keyboard, you can bump out that empty magazine with a new one or let the bullets slowly slide out of the barrel of the gun and replace them. I especially love reloading the heavy machine guns, and I actually show many first-timers to VR this shooting range. As for the scopes, I have no complaints. They are not as good as in VR, where I was genuinely impressed, but the scopes look very decent. There's one significant difference between the PCVR and PSVR2 versions when it comes to gunplay, and that is of course the adaptive triggers on the PSVR2 controllers. Having played some PCVR and switching to the PSVR2, man, it felt so good to play with these adaptive triggers, and it truly feels like you are pulling the trigger. This sensation also varies per gun. I have made another video about this, so go check that out if you are interested in what it does. Now, not only can you play with modern weapons, there is also a full arsenal of World War II weapons. I love it. Complete with superb detail and unique reloading mechanics again, and these guns require learning and muscle memory like all other guns, which is just incredibly engaging. And firing an M1 Garand in VR, man, come on, that's fantastic. In addition to the guns themselves, you can customize them with suppressors, grip handles and scopes. And once you are familiar with the weapons, there is a kill house where you can select any weapon you want and try to beat your own score and time by shooting as many targets in the kill house while maintaining your speed. And when you are ready for the real deal, you can join a multiplayer server. Now, the most common and well-known game type is Search and Destroy, which is very similar to the Counter-Strike version. Two teams fight and the terrorists must deploy a bomb, and defusing a bomb in VR is completely different. It's more thrilling and stressful as you physically have to input the correct code instead of merely holding a button down. This, combined with, shots being fired around you, is not only stressful but also very immersive. And as I mentioned earlier, there are many more game modes, including Deathmatch, Gun Game, World War II Gun Game, One in the Chamber where you are spawned with a Golden Eagle and you only have one bullet, Team Deathmatch, Tank Team Deathmatch, TTT, which is some kind of social deductive game, which is super fun to play if you are in a correct server. And you can even fight zombies. I mean, there's even Prop Hunt. Now, on the PCVR version, there are plenty of mods to install, ranging from a Halo mod to fighting on the front lines in World War I. However, this also means that the server landscape is very diverse, which can spread the player base pretty thin. In contrast, the PSVR2 server list is more structured, focusing on core gameplay modes without mods. This, in my opinion, is just better. The standard maps are of excellent quality and I have little to complain about. Santorini looks super colorful, while the Stalingrad map is dark and grimy, adding to the experience. Now, after playing on the PCVR version, I switched over to the PSVR2, and the game ran incredibly smoothly. There were many populated servers and friendly players, which I struggled to find on the PCVR version, and this combined with the adaptive triggers gives me pretty much no reason to play this game anymore on the PCVR, unless there is maybe some incredible mod coming out. A fun gimmick is that Pavlov on the PSVR2 has even implemented the eye tracking feature, allowing you to see where people are actually looking at, and it's kind of freaky, I tell you. Also, when getting shot in the head or body, you can feel it through the adaptive feedback of the headset, adding to the immersion. There's something for everyone in Pavlov VR, from taking a tank in Stalingrad, reloading the tank barrel, guns, whatever, and firing, to participating in Team Deathmatch, Prop Hunt, or killing zombies. Does it have the best VR mechanics? No. I still prefer Contractors over Pavlov, when it comes to gameplay, but that game is not available on the PSVR 2 yet. One downside is that the weight of the guns, they feel like toys or paper weapons in your hands. I hope they can add some weight to make it feel more realistic, and there's also some clipping through objects, pretty much all objects, which I personally don't mind, but some do. Now in conclusion, Pavlov VR, a fantastic VR shooter. Nothing to complain about. I completely fell in love with it again on the PSVR 2, and if you have both a PCVR headset and the PSVR 2 headset, I highly recommend playing it on the PSVR 2 as that just feels more optimized. Now I hope that this short video gave you a quick insight of what Pavlov VR has to offer in 2023. And don't forget to check out my other Pavlov video where I show the adaptive triggers in the game, which are fantastic. And yeah, go check out my review of Vertigo 2. What a game is that on PCVR. Hey, I hope to see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.